I've been asked to tell this amazing story about how I got to interview Burt Lancaster back when I was in high school. It was 1968, and I played sousaphone in the marching band at Wichita Southeast High School. And it was at the time when Burt Lancaster was filming Gypsy Moths about some aerial barnstormers between World War I and World War II. And they were up in Mount Hope, Kansas. And Burt Lancaster was staying in Park Lane Towers, which was a pretty new place at the time. It's close to the school and everything. And he was out jogging one day. The marching band was practicing on the football field here, and we're getting ready for our show for the Friday game. And we'd heard rumors he was around the neighborhood. People had seen him. So he's out here jogging on the track here, running around while we're practicing. The twirlers are doing everything. We're practicing our show for the halftime coming up that weekend. And I was a journalism student at the time too. I was a junior in high school. And everybody's all excited about it. It's like, look, there's Burt Lancaster, you know, so he's running around there. So when the practice was over, band was 4th hour and journalism was 5th hour, which was very fortunate, or this may have not even happened. So we all took our instruments back in, but as we were going in, I said hi to him as he was coming around the track and said something about, you're going to be out here a while, I work for the school paper, I'd like to come back out and talk to you. He kind of just shook his head and kept jogging around there. So hustled back in, put everything away, told one of my friends to go on to class. He was also in this journalism class and for 5th hour, and said, go tell Mr. Campbell, our instructor, you know, that I've got a chance to interview Burt Lancaster. Okay, so this takes place, and a senior who was one of the editors of the paper, Susan Page, who's a writer for one of the news services in Washington, D.C. now, was an oboe player. She was a senior, so she was in on this too. She says, let's go back and tell Mr. Campbell what we're doing. So we both go back, you know, and he says, yeah, get out there right now and get the scoop, you know, and the story and everything. He was a really good journalist teacher, old school type guy. So we take off and come out here, and Burt, I don't call him Mr. Lancaster now. I did then, though. And he's out here jogging around. So I take up next to him and say, yeah, hey, we're back. You know, when can we talk to you? And he says, I'll be done in a little bit, you know. We'll head over to the Park Lane Towers. Give me about 5 minutes here. So he does a couple more laps and heads over to the Park Lane Towers, and we're kind of talking to him a little bit, you know. And he said, well, just wait till we get back there, you know, and we'll sit down and have a chat. And I said, okay. So we just walked back there with him. Go over there, he goes in, you know, they check him in and everything. They had pretty good security back then too. So he goes upstairs, you know, and we go in, we sit around. He's got a nice place there. He's got like a personal assistant or a trainer or something there, a scheduler, you know. It's got like, immediately comes in and says, well, here's this, you know, shooting for today. We got to get up to Mount Hope at whenever time, you know, and whatever. So we're sitting out on this balcony up there. He says, yeah, let me get a quick shower in here, I'll be back. So we're kind of hanging around. The guy gives us a Coke and whatever, you know, and whatever we want, basically, you know. And pretty soon, Burt Lancaster comes out there, sits down, we're all relaxed and everything. We start talking to him. And he was a really fascinating guy, just a super warm, real person, you know. And I'd seen him in Judgment at Nuremberg, Elmer Gantry, Birdman of Alcatraz. He was a pretty big star at the time. And got some info about him and everything. I started taking notes, and Susan Page was sitting there. She was taking notes and all that. So we started asking him some questions. He was just an incredible speaker. Had been in Kansas before. His parents were performers too. And he had been, when he was a kid, he had come through Kansas on a train and performed various places. But he started out as an acrobat. He was a tumbler and a gymnast. And he didn't do a whole lot of trapeze. He said it was kind of bad on his shoulders and whatever, but he really was good. He said back when he was a little bit younger, he could just take off and dive down on the floor and do a roll and jump up and land and whatever. A super guy though, really laughed and got into telling us these stories too, you know. We were talking about various things. And just, it's hard for me to remember now. I wish I could find the story again. It's got to be in the archive somewhere in the school paper, the old Stampede. But I just had a great time. He was extremely personable and whatever, and really sat around, and you know, after we talked to him for a while, he said, well, is there anything else, you know? And it's like, well, I don't know, we couldn't think of anything else. We were kind of stunned at just how easy the whole thing went. You know, he really made us feel like we were professionals, and he was really interested in in what we were doing. He asked us about, well, what classes are you taking besides band and journalism, and started talking to us. And was just a terrific guy. Neither one of us asked for his autograph. We had talked about that on the way over, like, should we ask him for his autograph? Yeah, we better not, we get to talk to him and interview him. That's our claim to fame at the time, And that's about it, pretty soon the assistant comes in and says, well, we got so many minutes to do this and do that and whatever, and he said, well, it's okay, and so he kind of spent a little more time with us, and it was just a wonderful experience. We thanked him, we left, we came over here. Mr. Campbell had gotten with the office here and had set it up so we didn't have to go to our 6th hour and 7th hour class, the last 2 classes of the day. We could stay in the journalism department and start writing out the story and everything. So since Susan Page was a senior and one of the editors and I was a junior and just a reporter, pretty much Campbell said, well, go ahead and let Charlie write the story up, and then Susan, you can edit it and whatever, and it worked out great. It got a big section of the school paper, and I'm not sure if it won anything. It seemed to me like it was entered in the state high school journalism contest and whatever for a feature story, a feature article. I think it got past the first round or so, but we had a couple of pictures too that he gave us. We said if there was anything we could use, and so they had a couple of stills and a couple of shots that we used in the paper. That's about it. It was a great time.